Victoria's Secret fashion show is back. The signature show returned for the first time in 6 years, with 2 models making history as the first transgender models to walk the Victoria's Secret runway. This marked a sharp shift from 2018 when the show organizer Ed Rozek told Vogue that he didn't think, quote, transsexuals should be on the runway. He later apologized. But not long after, the brand found itself fighting off accusations of sexism, ageism, a toxic work culture, and a refusal to represent women of all shapes and sizes. Plus, the show's ratings had plummeted. The show was then canceled indefinitely in 2019. In May, Victoria's Secret social media account posted, quote, "We've read the comments and heard you. The Victoria's Secret fashion show is back and will reflect who we are today, plus everything you know and love."
This week's show featured a more diverse cast of models than ever seen before, including plus-size and older models. Most celebrated the change online. Plus-size model Ashley Graham wrote on Instagram, quote, "For years, the brand didn't feel like it was made for someone like me. Their vision of beauty seemed narrow, as if everything they created was for just one type of body, and it wasn't mine. But after sitting down with the leadership at Victoria's Secret, I saw real change. They were excited to have me join the show and assured me this wasn't just a one-time thing. The curve models weren't just a symbol. Victoria's Secret genuinely wanted to be part of the body diversity revolution. So I said yes, and that's a journey I'm proud to walk." But as expected, some conservatives were not as happy about the increase in diversity. For example, Outkick senior editor Joe Kingsey wrote on X, "Just when it looked like the Victoria's Secret was back, last night the brand held its fashion show for the first time since 2018 and trotted out 2 biological males to model lingerie. The wokes won't give up." Okay, I want to give a little backstory here too, because let's not forget, some of this also had to do with this scandal involving the founder of Victoria's Secret and CEO of the company that oversaw all of Bath & Body Works and others, limited company, Les Wexner, who it wasn't just that Victoria's Secret had a toxic work environment. Les Wexner had been accused of several situations in which he was involved with Jeffrey Epstein, and that showed up in documents. He used to do his banking with him, and the culture was really coming from the top. So we have to keep in mind that it wasn't just that, this was a company issue and they had blind spots. There was a real toxic work environment related to a Jeffrey Epstein associate, Les Wexner. And I think it was smart. I think that it was a smart business decision. I know that's probably where they're really coming from, but it was also a smart cultural decision because we really have moved on from having stick models represent all women. And for a business, wouldn't it be smart to portray more women so you have more women shopping there? I mean, I've never felt comfortable going to that store. It doesn't reflect me. It doesn't reflect the bodies of the women that I know. So, maybe it's a good pivot, especially now that he's gone.
I think it's fine to have women that are not just all stick thin, but I think part of the allure of the Victoria's Secret fashion show was always that it was not attainable, right? That these women have to go through these insane workouts and diets in order to get on that stage and look a certain way. And there was something sort of oddly aspirational about it, but also kind of fun and exciting and entertaining to watch. If you can just put anybody on the Victoria's Secret stage, then it doesn't become this coveted position that these women work really hard for. You're just handed it because you fit some sort of diversity quota. And some of the so-called plus-size models, I don't really care for that term because it encompasses a wide range of women that are very, very different. Someone who is a size 12 is very different from someone like Ashley Graham, who is legitimately obese. And I don't want to see obese women walking around in lingerie and trying to sell me lingerie. The whole point of being in lingerie and selling lingerie is that you want to, again, provide this aspirational model. You want women to feel like they're going to look amazing and beautiful in your lingerie. And I just don't feel like I want to buy lingerie if it is modeled on an obese woman because that's not what I want to look like in my lingerie.
Oh my goodness, Amber, what? Women of all sizes wear lingerie. So let's just start off with the fact that women of all sizes do buy lingerie, and it's not just because they see it on women who, like you said, have to go through extraordinary tactics to maintain that body weight. Many models have come out and talked about how the culture pushed eating disorders and drug abuse, and especially in the 90s and the early 2000s when we were growing up. So the culture is toxic. That doesn't mean it's something we should be aspiring towards. It's an unachievable goal because it's assisted by toxic a toxic environment that's pushing this on the models. And not only that, it was oppressive in a sense that there were sexual predators all around them. I mean, this is an ideal of beauty coming through one very narrow lens. Number one, a man's lens. Number two, a European white lens. But beauty exists in all different shapes and sizes. I mean, there's still beautiful women. Not everyone is beautiful. I mean, beauty is not eye of the beholder, but everyone on that stage was extraordinary. Different shapes. I mean, I don't want to look like a Victoria's Secret model. Sorry to burst your, bubble, but I come from a different background where women with curves are respected and admired, and we're healthy too. So I just think that it's really toxic for little girls too to see that, because especially in this Instagram environment with the filters and all of the procedures that young women are having nowadays prematurely, I believe. It's up to everybody to make a choice, but it's definitely being pushed by social media. And I thought for once it was wonderful that we no longer had this runway model culture and the magazine culture where they're airbrushing everyone. It just has moved to social media. So to bring this back, I feel like it's a very dangerous course reversal for young girls, but at least they're doing it with different types of women.
I do agree with the idea that young girls should not be exposed to this fashion show in the first place. It shouldn't be seen as something that they're exposed to when they're young. And before they really can understand the things that these women do go through to get these bodies. And I agree that in some cases, certainly things went too far. But I think there is an objective standard of beauty to an extent. Obviously, people have different ideas of what that means, but I think it's fair to say that people being healthy and in shape and having abs, that's an objective beauty standard. I don't think there's a single culture that you could point to, at least in modern society, that would say that that's not beautiful. But nonetheless, let's get into the trans models a little bit, because I just feel like women don't really have anything anymore. We don't have our sports teams, we don't have our locker rooms, our bathrooms. We can't even have a lingerie show with traditionally feminine female clothing. Where does it end?
The majority of the people on stage were women. Women, they're all women. Majority of people on stage were born women, and there were 3 trans members that joined, and that was great. Like, they can't wear lingerie. I mean, I know men that wear lingerie. This is 2024. I feel like sometimes we have these conversations like we're living in the 1950s and not the world that is all around us, not the media, not the culture. I mean, we are a much more open society, and that's wonderful that people can express their sexuality, they can express their gender, they can express their energy, their vibes, however they want. I mean, that's the beauty of 2024 living in the United States of America, is we do have the freedom to do so. And you know what? It's also a good business decision for Victoria's Secret, because it shows they're inclusive, and now it shows that, yeah, trans people, please come. You can come to Victoria's Secret and we welcome you, and lingerie is for everybody.
Is it a good business decision to cater to the whims of less than 1% of the population at the expense of potentially losing a significant portion of the 50% of the population that would traditionally be buying your products?
I don't think that's the case at all. I think I'm sure they looked into this. They have a very strong business department, and I think that they probably see, number one, most of the women on stage were biologically born women. So it wasn't at the expense of all this other population. And at the end of the day, women are going to go to their mall in middle America, where maybe there's more of a tendency in Ohio where they're putting the billboards up for some women not to agree, but they're still going to go to the mall and buy Victoria's Secret, because there aren't many options anymore. We live in a monopolistic society, and that's what a lot of folks are relying on.
All right, we have a lot more topics to cover on Rising today. We're going to take a quick break. Be right back.